And this morning, Simon, we're looking at one man and two clubs. The man is Romelu Lukaku.
Yep.
And the two clubs in question, of course, are Chelsea and Inter Milan. It's now being reported that Inter Milan are in talks with Chelsea over a season-long loan for Lukaku.
Yep.
The clubs are yet to thrash out an agreement for any kind of loan fee. Chelsea don't want to sell him. He was signed from Inter last summer for a jaw-dropping club record £97.5 million. And Lukaku, we hear, is not ready to leave permanently.
Oh, that's good of him.
I mean, would Chelsea be right to give up on Lukaku so soon, do you think? Is this the direction in which this is going?
Well, it depends if you're asking about whether it's Chelsea being the football manager or Chelsea being the new ownership model. Right? It's interesting that they're going to put him out on loan and want a £20 million loan fee because it means they can keep him on their balance sheet and still demand money for him. If you put him on, if they bought him for 85 million quid, right?
Yeah.
97, was it 97 million euros they bought him for? 85 million quid.
97 million quid.
Was it 97 million quid?
Yeah.
I thought it was euros. Anyway, whatever it is, right? It's depreciating. That player is going off their balance sheet at a value of £20 million a year. So if they can keep him on their balance sheet and put him out on loan and get £20 million for him, they're actually making a monetary transaction that makes financial sense. And then, of course, if he goes off to Inter Milan, in what I'm beginning to understand with the more footballers I talk to about Italian football, is a far easier league to score goals in.
Yeah.
They might find themselves in a situation where Milan have cleared their decks, because don't forget, the reason why Conte left Milan was because they didn't have any dough and they wanted to be able to capitalise on sales. In 18 months' time or a year's time, they might find themselves in a better position, and Chelsea might find themselves able to pump Lukaku out for 70, 80 million quid, and they've actually made money on the transaction. So from a footballing point of view, if Tuchel doesn't want him, then it's a no-brainer. He's got to go. From a financial point of view, this deal is a no-brainer, because ultimately they're getting their money back from Milan for whatever they may have paid for the player to some extent, a proportion of it. They're keeping him on their balance sheet, so they're actually turning it into a profitable balance sheet position. And we all know that Chelsea have got the money to go and buy other players. So all of these things make sense if the player is not going to get his head on. Now, clearly, one would have expected, despite all of the background noise and excuses as to why they shouldn't have to, after that ridiculous interview that Sky Italia held in the bank and dropped it at the best moment for them to get the maximum amount of exposure on.
You still think that was time to perfection?
I do.
All
The
right.
player didn't respond, did he? He didn't respond. He responded to the fact he'd made himself look a fool. He responded to the fact that he needed to deal with the manager and the disappointment, but he didn't respond on the pitch. So you would have thought...
which was the key territory.
Which was the key territory.
Yeah.
So what are you holding on to him for?
Yeah.
He doesn't look fit. He doesn't look interested. He doesn't look like he was motivated to play for Chelsea. So the only reason he's there is for an economic transaction. Well, that economic transaction is now being plastered together by some clever thinking. So I think that they should get rid of Lukaku, because he hasn't done what he was brought in for. He's not a young player developing. He's not a foreign player coming over to England and learning the league, because he's played in this league for West Bromwich Albion, for Everton and for Manchester United.
So if you're Chelsea, what are you looking for in a loan fee? More than north of 20 million?
Well, you're looking for as much as you can get, aren't you?
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, if you can get 20 million quid, then you've still got him on your balance sheet as your player. So he's still there as a value. You've earned 20 million quid off him. So in real terms, it's a decent transaction.
And how much of his wage do you want Inter to pay?
Oh, the lot.
The lot?
Oh, yeah, why would I carry...
They're not going to agree to that.
Well, they'll have to, won't they? Because they're getting him without any major cash flow up front, which is 20 million quid to have a player. OK, there's no resale value
So what's
for
you
it.
on 325 grand a week?
And well deserved, it would seem.
So Lukaku will cost you more than 20 million loan fee, and incidentally, welcome to his 325 grand a week.
But that's the reality of football, isn't it? We only talk on this show about headline numbers, but underneath that comes the following train of wages. So when you talk about... This is why the Spanish guys are getting up in arms about the Erling Haaland deal and also the Mbappe deal, because it isn't just the ridiculous, obscene nature of how much you're paying for these players. You're also having to carry this big bag of money behind you to be able to pay their wages. So with that in mind, it is what it is. Whoever they sign, they've got to pay a wage. So if they go and sign a top player to fulfil a position at Milan, they're going to be paying 150, 200 grand a week.
Yeah.
They know Lukaku. They get him on a £20 million loan fee, which, you know, is what it is, and they pay him £300,000 a week. That is what it is.
Romelu's a bit more tight-lipped than he was when he gave that interview to Sky Italia. He was asked about the prospect of returning to Inter when he was away on international duty with Belgium this month, and the reply, I cannot speak about it.
Well, that's probably wise, because he's already made his position clear. He's already virtue signalled himself back to the Italian fans by telling you, I would like to come home one day. Oh, well, off you go then. You can go home. We'll send you there in a cab.
He's in a fix here. If this can't get sorted,
well, no, he's not.
How's he going to turn it around at Chelsea?
Well, he won't, but he won't be in a fix because, first of all, he's not going to the poorhouse. So you were talking about fix in terms of his football career. He's valued very highly by the Belgium team. If you hear Roberto Martinez talking about him, you'd think he's the Dalai Lama for everything he's achieved. But the bottom line is that he will be sought by someone. He will be sought by someone because it hasn't worked for Chelsea. The one thing about football is whatever failings you'll have, you'll always find someone stupid enough to help you perhaps fail again or succeed in their space.
Yeah, but it's finished at Chelsea for him, isn't it?
I think so.
Logically, the way you have to look at it, Simon, it's over.
I think it's difficult to make a case for somebody that didn't respond. He had an opportunity, a window of time to respond. The half of the season and everything that went with it. And he didn't, did he? I mean, none of us sat here saying, well, geez Louise, look how wonderful Lukaku has responded to the challenge that he created for himself by opening his stupid trap and saying silly things to a broadcaster that he didn't need to say.
He should have thought before that, shouldn't he?
Yeah.
He's got to get it right now. I mean, he got it right at Inter. He's got to do it again at Inter, hasn't he?
But I keep making
From his own credibility
I keep making this point that actually that's what he achieved. But every time we talk to a footballer in here, they talk about the fact that playing in Italy is vastly different in goal scoring terms. And I don't want to discredit Tammy Abraham because I think he's done wonderfully going over there.
Yeah.
But there is an argument that says if you score goals in Serie A, it's no comparison to scoring goals in the Premier League because it's more difficult.
Which is exactly what Alessandro Nesta said to assistant producer Joe yesterday.
And what Danny Mills was saying yesterday as well.
Yeah, Danny Mills, who was very good incidentally yesterday.
In his own mind, yeah.
Simon, thank you so much. That was a roundup of football's top business stories with Tesco Mobile for Business.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.